Hello, hello. Oh yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, I'm gonna stop being weird. Okay, I'm probably not gonna stop being weird. So I was going to write a regular blog type thing with this. Sorry, it's really early in the morning and I'm still a bit sleepy, and I just got done doing a lot of pictures with my weird face like this, so bear with me. But I was going to do a regular blog about this whole topic and thought I never do, I guess, random vlogs about my thoughts anymore, so just to exercise a different skill. So I can write halfway decent, but I'm usually not that great at some of the conversational talking to myself and people things. So, and I mean, that's pretty much why I started this whole thing, to kind of get better at that. But I wanted to talk about depression and anxiety. The horrible words. Oh, mental problems. No one has them, but they have so many medications and commercials for them in this country. I wonder why. But yeah, I noticed anytime you bring up mental illness or a different point of view that's not the rosiest or the cheeriest or the happiest, people tend to flip out. And I'm not talking about those who may use their problems as an excuse or justification for why they do stupid things. I'm talking about just having a greater understanding and empathy for people. And it seems like nowadays it's kind of cool to not really care, or to act as though life is all cheery and sunshine and lemons, and lemons mean I like lemons, so I guess lemons would be bad for most people. But it's kind of cool to do that, and not really bring up that one might have problems with certain things. I got one person telling me, you must have a lot of friends because you look this way, or you must have all this great stuff. And it's like, yeah, I have some stuff, and also beauty is very subjective, especially if you're not in a very narrow box of blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin. That's kind of the typical, or at least here, I don't know about the entire world, but in America, usually blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny is kind of the basic thing that people go for. So, I don't know. It's like, yes, I'm confident at certain things. I know I'm starting to babble. I gotta get back onto the actual topic at hand. But yes, I am confident at certain things. But there are other situations where I don't know how to represent myself or speak to people or do things. And I think instead of beating yourself down about what you cannot do, which I am very guilty of this, but instead of beating yourself down about things that you can't do, if it's something you want to change, you can always set goals for how you can set some sort of motion or plan, course of action to change maybe your self-esteem or being able to do this and that. And slowly over time you can desensitize yourself to various triggers. But if you never admit that there's a problem, because admitting that there's a problem, especially here where it's prided to be, just life of a party, outgoing, and if you're attractive, you gotta be this way or that way. If you're not those things, but you drink or smoke or whatever you do to kind of cope with it and never really own it and accept that, hey, this is really where I'm at, you can't begin to kind of break down the real sources of issues and things. For me, I think a lot of problems that I've had in the past have always started with self. It's kind of hard to get to that kind of mindfulness. Is that the word? Mindfulness about situations. It's certainly difficult to think about it in the moment, and I'm not always successful, but I think mindfulness can help depression and anxiety. Another thing that a lot of people don't kind of get, or at least something that was kind of brought to my attention a few weeks back, because I was mentioning some things that I had gone through and whatnot, and the person said that people are always going to want to talk to you, I guess if you're out and about, which is fine. I understand that, but for someone who might have PTSD or anxiety or depression, it's very difficult to make yourself get out of bed and get into these kinds of situations, especially the kind of thought patterns that can accompany these things, which are very pervasive and terrible, which can make someone react to you kind of crazy or not at all, which usually has very little to do with how you approach a person, which I guess is the point I was trying to get across. I'm not sure if I did, but sometimes people's inner struggles are really difficult, and it's not so much that someone who has social problems or anxiety issues, they don't want to socialize. I don't think that's the case most of the time. I think there can be a great desire to go out and connect with people, but then there's this other thing, a dark cloud, that kind of lingers and tells you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. And it's a very difficult thing to just shut off. I'm not sure if that's something someone who hasn't gone through it will completely understand, but I guess if you imagine someone constantly yelling at you everything you do wrong on a continuum, I guess that's probably the closest to that. And it'll kind of make you not want to do things. And I think also when you're in that mindset, you might ignore things that might snap you out of it because you're so tunnel vision into this weird dark crap that you'll kind of gravitate toward it. So, you really have to change your own thinking, admit that there's a problem, even though that's very difficult, and you kind of have to accept that most people may not understand what it is you're going through. You know, you can try to explain, but don't get too down if you're not successful at it. You know, and I think I'm learning to just not take anything personally anymore, which is good. I have my bad days, but for the most part, things are pretty good. I'm broke, really broke. But other than that, things are great. That's probably the main issue. Although I guess that can drive one into their own weird spiral, money issues. But hopefully I have made some semblance of sense, because I did kind of start to ramble. Hopefully you enjoyed my video and you heard me properly throughout, and not the weird loudness of my street. Thanks for watching. So long and stuff. Talk to you all later.